Welcome to this explainer. We are diving straight into something absolutely fascinating today. We're going to impartially, and very clinically, dissect a subject hidden across centuries of esoteric texts. We are looking at exactly how evil forces coordinate their actions. We'll be tracing the actual mechanics of this dark chain of command, starting all the way back with sprawling underworld hierarchies detailed in Renaissance grimoires, right up to modern concepts of telepathic possession grids. It's really a journey into the logistical side of the occult.
So here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. Hierarchies of the underworld, 2. Magicians, the human agents, 3. Pacts, signals, and charms, 4. Telepathic networks and grids, and finally, 5. Crafting the hive mind. Let's explore exactly how these forces escalate from the abyss to our world.
Section 1. Hierarchies of the underworld. The macro-level administration of the abyss. We've got to start our journey at the very top of this dark chain of command. Before we even talk about human manipulation, we need to understand the vast structures that supposedly govern the dark arts at a macro level.
Now, the Codex Gigas points out a really fascinating logistical distinction. Earthly kings, they rule by geography, right? They have borders, shared cultures, tangible resources. But supernatural princes are a totally different ballgame. They command these chaotic hosts. We're talking about heterogeneous communities of entities united by literally one thing, the visceral, crushing terror of their ruler. There are no borders, there are no laws, it's just a dark, fear-based loyalty that keeps the whole hierarchy intact.
It sounds like pure chaos, but Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa's classical texts reveal a highly organized operational structure. It's basically a dark corporate org chart designed for maximum efficiency. You have the vessels of iniquity run by Belial managing the invention of evil arts. Then the Furies under Apollyon, strictly handling war and discord, and Astaroth commands the Accusers, whose entire job is relentless calumny. Every entity has a specific department.
To put the sheer scale of this hierarchy into perspective, the 16th century demonologist Johann Weyer recorded that just one infernal king, a figure named Baal, manages a staggering 66 legions of spirits under his direct command. So we aren't talking about a couple of rogue spirits wandering aimlessly. These texts describe a massive, strictly militarized spiritual bureaucracy.
Section 2. Magicians, the human agents. Middle management in the material world. Here's the logistical hurdle, though. These vast legions can't just act directly on Earth whenever they feel like it. They absolutely need human middlemen to execute their coordination in the physical realm.
The 18th century writer Daniel Defoe explains this proxy system brilliantly. He argues that modern evil operates through secret human agents, allowing the infernal forces to, as he says, slip their necks out of the collar. The magician is essentially middle management. They deal with the devil at second hand, meaning the primary architect gets to stay totally hidden in the shadows, while the human does all the visible, dirty work.
Moving on to Section 3, Pacts, Signals, and Charms, the encrypted protocols of hell. This brings up a really great question. If the demons are the C-suite executives and human magicians are middle management, how do they actually talk to each other? What does that coordination look like?
Well, it comes down to strict, almost mathematical communication protocols. Defoe defines an enchantment not just as some spooky magic words, but as an encrypted, pre-agreed signal. It's a concerted protocol between hell and the earthly agent, used to summon an entity into a specific, predetermined form. It completely removes the guesswork from the operation.
Defoe uses this absolutely brilliant analogy for this. He compares magicians and demons to ships at sea. Because they're separated by vast gulfs of existence, they can't simply yell across the water. They have to converse by signals, charms, and barbarous names to coordinate complex operations from a distance. Think of it as a supernatural telegraph system, ensuring the right forces arrive at the exact right time.
All right, Section 4, Telepathic Networks and Grids, the invisible architecture of modern sorcery. As we shift from historical grimoires to modern occult philosophies, the methods of coordination get much more intimate. Modern texts move away from drawn circles and physical pacts and instead rely on an invisible telepathic infrastructure.
Modern esoteric sources basically view human consciousness as an unsecured Wi-Fi network. They describe the mind not as a closed private box, but as an open node, a garden, a beacon, a receiver. And because your mind is constantly broadcasting and receiving, it is highly vulnerable to aggressive psychic interference and external thought projection from these coordinated forces. So, how do they hijack this network? It's described as a clinical, step-by-step process of psychic sabotage. First, operators identify a target node. Then, they plant subconscious echoes, basically subtly infecting the target's memory. Next, they scramble the victim's sense of time to dislocate their critical thinking. And finally, once the mental defenses are completely down, they embed an autonomous psychic parasite. This embedded parasite is often called a mind trap, and what's really terrifying is how mechanical it is. It functions exactly like a self-executing computer virus. It literally does the heavy lifting of coordination by autonomously self-correcting the victim's thoughts and emotions so they perfectly align with the sender's will. It's a set-it-and-forget-it tool for dark coordination. It works efficiently even when the occultist is fast asleep.
Which brings us to Section 5, Crafting the Hive Mind. Scaling up to group domination. Because true dark majesty, according to these sources, isn't just about controlling one isolated mind. To coordinate action on a global or societal scale, these forces have to scale their grids to dominate entire populations, crafting a literal hive mind.
To herd a whole group, operators target the keystone. That's the most volatile or influential member of a community. Once that psychic nucleus is infected, they systematically synchronize everyone's emotional responses and induce shared dreams. Some modern texts even claim that practitioners will piggyback their spells onto everyday modern infrastructure, writing the actual frequencies of Wi-Fi routers and radio towers to blanket a whole populace in unseen influence. No escape.
To manage a massive psychic network like that, different entities are deployed, acting very much like different tiers of software. At the top, you have demons with high autonomy, operating on complex packs. In the middle, there are thought forms, manifested from belief with variable autonomy. And at the very bottom, doing the grunt work, are custom-engineered familiars with low autonomy, programmed with absolute, unyielding control to execute highly specific tasks within the human network.
Hovering above this entire orchestrated network is what's known as the egregore. This is an artificial thought entity constructed from the group's own shared energy. It acts as the ultimate invisible conductor. And what makes it so insidious is that the victims themselves are the ones powering it. It doesn't just influence, it regulates behavior, silently rewarding compliance and punishing betrayal across the whole group, ensuring the coordination is flawless and totally self-sustaining.
The overarching philosophy binding all of this dark coordination together is patience. It relies on planting these telepathic seeds, whether that's through an ancient demonic pact, a hidden sigil, or a corrupted radio wave, and simply letting them organically overwrite human instincts over time. They bloom into perfect, unquestioning obedience without the victim ever realizing they were targeted in the first place.
Which leaves us with a pretty chilling question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. The next time you feel a sudden, intense alignment with a crowd, or an unexplainable, perfectly synchronized compulsion, how many of those thoughts are truly your own? Or are you perhaps just a functioning node in a dark, telepathic grid? Thank you for joining me, and stay curious.